leyendas de los Kasen. Siguiente, ver misión. Dirígete a la plaza de los 5 Kasen y busca al Bedo.
Traveler, Paimon, how are you? And...
You must be Calx. It's a great pleasure to finally meet you. I am the author of A Legend of Sword, forgive me. It's rude of me to introduce myself by my pen name when meeting in person. Please.
And you may call me Albedo, then.
No, that would be most improper.
Why not? Seeing as we're both friends of the Traveler, it'd be more convenient for us to use our real names. Besides, we've already corresponded with each other many times before.
It's not just you, Albedo. We haven't seen Shinjo act this awkward before.
You guys, it's certainly not good taste for you two to be teasing me like that. Oh, by the way, we happened to find a story from the poem hunt competition at the docks. I heard that you are collecting...
Poem hunt?
Escondite de versos.
You know, that thing where we have to find pieces of paper with stories of the 5 cups.
Huh? Oh, yes, that's right. Oh, I understand the story now. Thank you. It's very helpful.
Splendid. Though, I'm still piecing together the story myself. Would you kindly explain it to me in more detail?
If all of you are free, why don't we discuss this over a meal?
Well...
Do you have other plans, Shinjo?
No, not
Se
at
quiere
all.
por echarse la siesta.
Speaking of dining, Shimura's unagi chasuke is quite delicious. Would you like to go there?
Shimura's. Unfortunately, today is a bit windy. How about Uyu Restaurant?
That's perfectly fine with me. But I must first unpack my luggage. Let's meet later at Uyu Restaurant.
Something didn't quite add up just now.
Huh? No way! Paimon thinks we acted well together. Do we say
No, Paimon, I'm not referring to us.
Huh? Shinjo's suspicious.
Paimon, you read the poem, right? Although it may seem confusing to Shincho on its own, what if we read it
Read them together? Suiko lost Aoi no Okina's poem in a drunken stupor. So, Aoi no Okina recovered the poem and Huh? Wait a minute. Could today's story be hinting that the one who stole the latest copies of A Legend of Sword... No way! That can't be right! Shinjo...
And that is precisely the point of suspicion. If Shincho had only just arrived in Inazuma... Moreover, he didn't raise any questions when I suggested another place because of the windy weather. This means he knows that Shimura's is an open-air restaurant.
Are you saying that Shinjo has already been in Inazuma for some time? And that he's a...
Yes, that is indeed my conclusion.
But how could Shinjo be the book thief? His mission is to fight for justice.
Calm down, Paimon. Even though this is the first time I've met Shincho in person, we've communicated via letters for some time now. I think there must be some deeper motive at play here. The story also tells us that Aoi no...
Oh? Could Shinjo be in danger?
It's difficult to say at this point. But given that Uyu Restaurant is... I'll be relying on your assistance to get to the bottom of this matter. Good. Then let's head to Uyu Restaurant.
Dirígete al restaurante Uyu. Bueno. Madre mía. A ponernos hasta arriba de comida.
I don't don't see anyone suspicious around. It seems clear for the moment. Let's go inside and wait for Xingqiu.
Oh, this whole thing's starting to make Paimon a little nervous.
First, we must ascertain whether Xingqiu was already in Inazuma or not. If we can find evidence, since we're still waiting for him, why don't you go and chat with other guests in the...
Entra en el restaurante Ugu. Youta.
The last phase of the Irodori Festival is when they release the all-new publications. The one I'm really looking forward to is A Legend of Sword.
That's right. A signed first edition is going to become quite the collectible. I've got to get my hands on a copy.
I've seen Genyu's signature before. His handwriting is super neat. He must be really diligent about his style.
He'll be there in person on the day of the release, so we'll get a good look at him then.
Wait a minute. Did you just hear that? Not only will Xingqiu be signing novels at the...
Vamos a dejar el albedo para el final. Eso que no hay ningún... Ah, es el restaurante del dueño.
Hello there. What can I get for you?
Hi! Do you have any special recommendations?
Why, of course. I personally recommend our freshly caught seafood. It's been pouring these past few days, so the fishing boats haven't been able to sail at all. But
So the weather at sea has been bad these past few days?
it sure has. A few guests from Liyue were just telling me that their boat was heaving and rolling all the way here. They could...
Oh, this might be some useful information.
¿Te acuerdas de un Raiden haciendo maremotos?
Albedo, what should we talk about when Xingqiu gets here?
I will try to break the ice by talking about our work on novels and if he really is hiding something, then he might feel even more nervous than we do.
Oh, come to think of it, Xingqiu mentioned that he'd like to thank you for finishing the illustrations on time. He said...
Is that so?
That was delicious. Inazuman cuisine largely consists of fresh seafood, which is certainly to my liking.
That's good. We were worried you might not have an appetite because you didn't sleep. Now's our chance. Let's talk to Xingqiu and see if he says anything useful. Maybe we could start by asking him about the journey.
To be honest, there wasn't much to see. Just water all around, morning to night. The sheer monotony of the trip caused everyone to... So, when the peak of Mount Yogo finally appeared in the distance as we approached the islands of Inazuma, everyone crowded the deck to have a look. However, the ship sailed along at a crawling pace. It took a whole day from the time we saw the mountain peak to the time we docked.
Paimon didn't catch anything suspicious so far. Oh, right! If it took an entire day to reach the docks, then it would...
We learned a couple of things from his account, but we still require more evidence. Let's discuss creating novels with
Speaking of illustrations, Albedo, I've long wished to express my sincerest gratitude for providing the illustrations in my novel. My novel didn't sell well in Liyue, so I must admit that I had some reservations regarding its potential. Yet you've consistently managed to select the most important scene of the chapter for your illustrations. This made me...
Thank you. However, I took some risks in the illustrations, so light novel illustrations are typically centered around the characters. But this time,
Well, that scene was intended to depict the change in the world, so I thought it very fitting to draw only scenery.
Doesn't sound like anything...
No, there was a crack in his alibi. My illustrations were sent for printing the moment they arrived in Inazuma. So, logically speaking, Xingqiu, we have something very important to ask you now.
Oh? Why the solemn looks all of a sudden? Huh? I'm afraid I don't follow.
Te han pillado.
Mr. Okazaki told us earlier that actually the weather at sea was very bad these last few days. So when you said that everyone came right...
On top of that, the latest installment of A Legend of Sword will only be revealed at the Irodori Festival. Even we, the creators, haven't received a sample copy.
Well...
The jig's up, Xingqiu. You are already in... Are you in some kind of danger but can't tell us the truth? Don't worry. The Traveler and Albedo are no pushovers.
Somos unos
We can
matones,
help
dice la
you.
Paimon.
No, please. You misunderstand me. I suppose my lack of sleep is inevitably taking its... I did in fact come to Inazuma early to handle some things. Let me consider how to explain this.
Oh, well, if this isn't a coincidence, I didn't expect to see everyone here.
Huh? Tone-deaf bard.
Bardo
what are
de
you doing
pacotilla.
here?
I heard that the owner of this establishment has some fine-aged wines. I didn't want to miss the opportunity to taste them.
Paimon knew you couldn't possibly be up to anything good.
Says who? In fact, I come as the bearer of good tidings. I just bumped into Kujo Sara a moment ago. She said that the Tenryou Commission has apprehended the criminal who stole all those copies of
Huh? The criminal who stole...
Did I say something
Oh no. The person they apprehended. Was it by chance an editor named Onodera?
Apologies, Kujo Sara didn't mention a name. But
Everyone, it's too late to explain. We must make haste and rescue Onodera.
Le van a poner la carita a Onodera como un filete. Nos tenemos aquí cerca. ¡Profesora! Cuidado.
Please, wait. Onodera is innocent.
Oh, so you must be the author of A Legend of Sword. I didn't...
Anyway, you mustn't take him away. I can explain everything.
No need to worry, Genyu. I've just explained everything to Madame Kujo, and Kuroda has testified for me.
Yes. In fact, we were just getting ready to leave.
Oh, phew. What a relief. Wait a minute. Does everyone else here already know?
Well, to be precise, we had dispatched 2 additional squads here.
Xingqiu looks pretty flustered. What exactly is going on here?
Though it's most embarrassing, it appears quite a few people are aware. In the end, I'm the one responsible for this whole predicament.
No, Genyu. It's only appropriate that I take responsibility for this. Everyone, for the Irodori Festival, I recommended the idea of selling newly released novels signed by the authors. Not only was this the first major project I was in charge of since joining the Yai publishing house, but Lady Yai also gave me a lot of support. However, I did not discuss our plans with the authors in advance. As a result, it caused a great deal of trouble for Genyu.
Yes, to be frank, calligraphy is not my strong point, so signing events are really not my forte.
Even though such an event will be difficult for Genyu, after telling him how important the plans were to me, he immediately boarded a ship to Inazuma to come up with So these past few days, Genyu has been actively practicing his handwriting. However, it takes time to sign each book, and we realized the time we reserved for the signing was not... So I came up with the idea of moving the new books from the warehouse to my place. That way, I thought everything would work out without a hitch. I never expected that someone would immediately realize. To make things worse, I was on vacation and staying with Genyu in my house these past few days. All of this happened.
Onodera, I agreed to your proposal because I didn't want the readers to know of my unsightly handwriting. Also, I knew that Onodera had been misled by one of my prior signatures. At a previous event, the Yai publishing house had requested autographs of authors so that they could be put on display. I practiced tirelessly for an entire day to finally deliver a style, but looking back on it now, I had dug myself into a hole by delivering that nice thing.
Hey, come on, you two. Loosen up a little. The theft was nothing more than a simple misunderstanding.
Yeah, that's right. All that matters is that Shincho and his books are okay.
Onodera, I think you should explain the truth regarding the stolen books to the rest of the people on Rito.
Yes, I understand. I'll apologize to everyone.
We should probably be heading back to Rito as well. Let's tag along.
Vale, vamos a Rito, a ver qué se cuentan. Dirígete el Buro de Asuntos Extranjeros. Van a arrastrar a Paimon por ser extranjera. Bueno,
Onodera, what are you doing here? Aren't you supposed to be on leave these few days?
I'm very sorry for all the trouble that I've caused.
Yes, Onodera, but why didn't you tell everyone earlier? If you had told us, we could have thought of some ways to help you.
That's right. We're a team, and we should be helping each other in tough situations like this.
Let's leave the past behind us now. Our first priority is to help Genyu.
My progress is not what I had hoped for. Even after working through the night these past few days, I've only...
Oh, no wonder Shincho looked so sticky.
I understand. Murata, go back to the Yai Publishing House and get Aratani to book a room on the second floor of the Uyu.
Yes, Mr. Hirayama. It just so happens that...
Yes, good idea. Ah, you've just reminded me. 2 calligraphers from Liyue arrived today. We worked...
It seems I'm really in for it now.
No need to worry, Genyu. I'm sure you can do it. Didn't you finish the last chapter of your novel in just 1 week's time?
Yes, but writing novels and learning calligraphy are 2 entirely different skills.
Even though Shincho still has to deal with his handwriting issue, Paimon somehow feels a little relieved now.
I always used to prefer working alone in my workshop. But I've come to realize that solving problems with others also has its merit.
We also owe a special ode of gratitude to the mysterious person who has been
Huh? You mean whoever left behind those stories about the 5 Kasen?
Pardon me, but what are you
Oh, right. We haven't had it.
I see. It appears that Onodera and I were spotted when we were moving the books. Albedo, may I ask you one thing? Not only do I owe the successful resolution of today's incident to that story...
No problem. Considering the similarities between the portrait and the events they've taken...
That figure was none other than Aoi no Okina himself. This turn of events had begun with an unnamed individual, under whose coercion, Aoi no Okina was forced to take drastic measures to retrieve a page of poetry. He knew nothing of this individual's true intentions. All he knew was that the poem had to do with an old acquaintance, Akahito.
I have to stifle a smile.
Akahito.
Albedo really is something. He finished the portrait of Aoi no Okina in no time at all. Wonder how Shincho's calligraphy training is going at Uyu Restaurant. Hey, do you think whoever let the... Oh, hello? Mr. Storywriter? Are you here? He's a friend of ours and the release of his new book is... Oh, what's that sound? It was just a cat. Looks like we can't make them reveal themselves. It's getting late now. Well, let's go back and get some rest.
Bueno, la parte 2 completada. La parte esta de la araña mecánica esa. ¿Qué hay que hacer en esa de la araña mecánica? La arena mecánica. Sí, era el siguiente de 7-9.
It's already time for us to be at the docks.
Dirígete al puerto. A pescar unos
Arrival
pececillos.
schedule says ship stopover, 1 person. Does that mean we're only welcoming 1 guest today? Look, that figure on the wharf. It looks like Kazuha.
Kazuquita. Hombre, Kazuquita. Madre mía.
Greetings, traveler in Paimon. I heard there would be guides for the Irodori festival, but I didn't expect it would be you two.
We didn't expect to see you either. Returning as a...
I was a little surprised myself when I received the invitation. But after wandering the outside world for so long...
Kazuha, when we saw you in the distance just now, you seemed...
Ah, yes. You see, when I came off the boat with everyone just now, I suddenly heard I could tell they were not footsteps of a regular passenger. But by the time I turned around, the person, even though I didn't manage to catch a glimpse of them, I found this...
Oh, does the paper app...
Huh. How did... Fascinating. It's almost hard to believe such things could happen. Sure, here it is.
Last time, Aoi no Okina's poem ended with a reference to story this time basically says that Akihito got his name from his love of red. Well, if Paimon were to rate today's story, it sounds pretty unfortunate.
Bueno, las otras historias tampoco eran mucho mejores.
I don't think there's anything particularly wrong with this story. I too was once wanted as a criminal by the shogunate. So I'm not all that different from Akihito mentioned.
But according to the story, Akihito was exiled by the shogun because of his wrongdoings. Huh? Traveler, what are you thinking about?
Ah, by the way, you mentioned that you're in Liyue and Inazuma. There is a saying, that which has been stamped has also been signed. While sailing at sea, I sometimes carve things to pass the time. If you wish to create a stamp for his seal, I might be able to help.
Le van a hacer un sello al Chinchu para que firme más rápido.
Wow, that's an idea. Quick, let's go tell Albedo.
Vale, busca el dedo en la placeta.
Albedo, we figured out a way to help Shincho.
Interesting. A story of the 5 Kasen appears again, and with a timely solution.
Vámonos, cuarto. Sí, sí, claro.
Stamped seal, huh? Let me think.
Pues no sé, pero habrá que sacar algo si eso.
Indeed, it is an efficient solution. If we use a stamp, then Xingqiu won't have to struggle with his handwriting anymore. Since Xingqiu's signature has been previously revealed to the readers, But I have another idea. Using a
Vale, el restaurante este. Es el 20 se está pidiendo la cogorza. Tan, tan, tararán, tan, tan, tararán. Hola con Chinchu. ¿Dónde lo tenemos? ¿En el piso de arriba? Pues eso parece.
Yes, that's it, Genyu. Your writing has greatly improved today, which means yesterday's intensive training was effective.
My apologies, but I simply can't do it anymore. My hands are so sore that I can't even move them anymore. Oh, I should.
You just had a 10-minute break. Come on, you can do this.
When it comes to pushing a
Lo
deadline,
tienen
there's
explotado,
no one
pobre.
more brutal than Mr. Hirayama.
No wonder Lady Yai would always send the editorial director to handle troublesome authors.
Whoa, this is getting scary. It hasn't even been that long and Shincho's already zombified.
Mr. Hirayama, we found a solution that might just solve our... In both Liyue and Inazuma, seals are widely used as the equivalents of a signature. If we use a stamp to leave the author's seal on the books, of course, a seal on its own is not enough. So, I propose... First, we'll use a personalized seal. We can simply carve. In addition, I'll also design a simple but elegant pattern that's easy for
Let me think. All right, I think that would work. Not a...
So, what you mean to say is, I've been saved from.
Mr. Hirayama, it suddenly occurred to me that the reason we gave up on live book signings previously was because it would take too long for the author to sign each book. But if we adopted Calx's proposed method, we might have... And if all the authors signed their books in the same fashion, then Genyu's signature...
If you think it's feasible, I would certainly be happy.
Yes, and you may leave carving the
In that case, I shall contact the other two authors participating in...
It is a great honor to use a signature design.
My pen name is quite complicated and isn't suitable for signing events. However, if we implement this...
Great! Looks like everyone's on board with the idea.
I'm sorry to have kept you busy for so long, Genyu. Please, take the next few days to have a good... The books that Genyu already signed can be used as special prizes in future events held by the I Publishing House.
We did it. The event...
Thanks to everyone's efforts, Onodera and I are finally free of that mess.
That's right! You're finally free!
Bueno, bueno, bueno. Kazuha, el tallador de sellos.
We still have some time to burn. Where should we go next?
Ahora tienes el plan que tienes hoy.
Traveler, there you are.
Vale, vale.
Oh, it's Ayaka! And Venti!
Y aquí 20, qué convención tan interesante, vaya por Dios. Justo no está en el banner de promocional.
I was just going to the festival venue to prepare the Ikebana lesson when I found a strange piece of paper on a flower stand. This bar just happened to be close by at the time. He informed me that you... But the paper she found isn't quite the same as the ones we found. Here's the paper. Please, have a look.
Huh. All the poems we found before were roughly the same length.
And even though there are only 2 short sentences, neither of... The position of the writer...
If we take the poem literally, it reads, "Dip this paper in water." And speaking of which, I have an ancient text at home, specializing in ancient and exotic stories.
So, shall we give it a whirl? It just so happens that there's a pond nearby.
Pues ahora vamos al estanque a meter el papelucho en el agua. Está escrito con tinta invisible. A ver qué pone por ahí.
Wow, look! It's really working! More words have appeared on the paper! Let Paimon see what it says.
El Paimon siempre tiene que estar
Story
ahí,
says that
oliendo
after
todo.
Sumizomi got the collection of poems from Akihito and put them into a stream of water, the plagiarized words in the poem became blurry. Huh? What?
You see, Paimon, in the past, when printing was not yet well developed, handwritten text could easily become... To ensure the text lasted longer, they'd either write using a special ink or coat. Such special inks are time-consuming and laborious to produce, and the waterproof coating could also prove just as difficult. However, since Akihito's poetry collection was an important gift to be presented to the shogun, but as for the plagiarized poems, not only would they lack Akihito's seal, but the words would also react differently when exposed to liquid.
Entonces Akihito no escribió este poema. Es decir, alguien leyó este poema más tarde.
Which means Akihito didn't plagiarize his work.
Yes, it appears that this is the truth that Sumizome's story is trying to convey. Although the story is saddening, I've decided on the subject. Kazuha, Ayaka, would you be willing to be the models for my paintings?
I would be delighted.
Yes, as would I.
There you go. The next 2 portraits should be ready in...
Yes. And now that all 4 stories have all been collected...
Long ago, Inazuma had 5 legendary poets. People bestowed upon them the title of the 5 Kasen.
One year, the poet Suiko made his way to Tenshukaku and presented the Kasen's work for the shogun's perusal. But a page from the works of Aoi no Okina had been torn out, and Suiko was questioned regarding the matter. Suiko pleaded guilty. He admitted to drinking at the tavern the night before, and vaguely recalled a mysterious figure approaching while he was intoxicated.
That figure was none other than Aoi no Okina himself. This turn of events had begun with an unnamed individual, under whose coercion, Aoi no Okina was forced to take drastic measures to retrieve a page of poetry. He knew nothing of this individual's true intentions. All he knew was that the poem had to do with an old acquaintance, Akihito.
Akihito had once belonged to the 5 Kasen. Each poem he composed, he marked with a scarlet red seal, hence the Aka in his name. Such a distinguished writer was he, and yet one of the poems he had submitted the previous year was found to be plagiarized. Akihito was exiled for his crimes, and only 4 of the 5 Kasen remained.
Sumizome went over Akihito's poems and noticed that the plagiarized poem lacked his seal. She immersed his poetry in a stream nearby, and only on the plagiarized poem did the ink run. Aoi no Okina passed by and witnessed Sumizome's doing,
which he then recorded in a poem. Thus transpired the events of Suiko's poetry submission, and this is where the story comes to an end.
Poco tiempo después, Albedo completa los 2 retratos. El de la yaca está guay. Y el de Kazuquita, mejorable.
Yeah. Ever since we completed the story of the one of the 5 Kasen is called
No
Kuronishi,
tengo
right?
Kuronishi, ¿verdad?
It's just that how could the story of the 5
Have you...
Not noticed what?
What he means is that the story of Kuronushi was already embedded within the 4 poems.
Huh? Really?
That's right. The key lies in the poem that Aoi no Okina wrote after seeing Sumizome rinsing. An average person could never understand the scene of a young girl washing Akahito's poetry collection in a stream. Even Aoi no Okina couldn't figure out the meaning behind Sumizome's actions. However, for the perpetrator who framed, he was worried that if this poem was seen by the Shogun, then the Shogun could discover. So in desperation, he threatened Aoi no Okina to make him tear out this poem.
Which means the one who threatened Aoi no Okina is the same person that framed Akahito. What? Kuronushi?
That's right. Though there are only 4 poems, they still since the Shogun mentioned in the poems is certainly not the one of the 5 Kasen. The only character left is the mysterious one with an...
Oh, okay.
However, this also brings... The story of the 5 Kasen has more or less reflected everything, which begs the question... Is there a
Kuronushi?
Speaking of which, I wonder if our dear Kazuha has come up with it.
Oh, right! Kazuha! He's been pretty quiet this whole time.
A ver, Kazuquita, hijo, cuéntanos lo que se te pasa por mente, ¿eh? Ya no sea nada un poco guarrete. Perdonamos.
Hey, Kazuha! Are you okay? You've been standing in front of this blank canvas for a while, and you don't look so good.
Apologies for making a wild assumption.
Yes. A few things did come to mind, actually. However, I don't mind sharing the stories, but I'd prefer not to bring you any more trouble.
Hey, we're all friends here, Kazuha.
Kaidehara, please forgive my assumption, but perhaps you were thinking of the Raiden Gokuden?
5 escuelas de Raiden.
The Raiden Gokuden? What?
It appears that Miss Kamisato and I were but it also has much to do with the Yashiro Commission. It would be improper to speak of it here.
It's fine. Those of us here are all trustworthy, so there isn't any harm in it. However, this matter is somewhat complicated and may be difficult to explain. As you all know, the Yashiro Commission's primary purpose is managing ceremonial and cultural affairs. The Raiden Gokuden were once the top 5 schools of the forging art in Inazuma. Although these families were swordsmiths by craft, they also, unfortunately, of the 5, only the Aminoma art still maintains its artisan lineage. The descendants of the Ishin art are also still alive, but the descendants of the Ishin art are none other than the Kaidehara family.
Los descendientes de la técnica Ishin son los Kaedara. Vaya por Dios.
Whoa! We knew Kazuha came from a noble family, but we had no idea about his connection to...
Yes, but that's all part of the past now. The Ishin art was lost with my great-grandfather's generation. My grandfather was dissatisfied with my great-grandfather's lack of effort. When he was young, my grandfather traveled all over Tevat to find a way to revive the family. And in my generation, our last remaining family property was lost as well.
I heard my elder brother mention that the decline of the Raiden Gokuden happened very rapidly. In the span of a few decades. Later, there was speculation that all of these misfortunes stemmed from some background machinations. However, since not every family of the Raiden Gokuden came to ruin, some...
Indeed. I've also believed such ideas were just theory. However, I know that a major incident happened to my great-grandfather when he was young. Not only did it affect the Kaedahara clan, but it nearly jeopardized the Kamisato clan's position. After reading the story of the 5 Kasen, I can't...
What exactly happened to your great-grandfather?
I still can't say. I need to speak with someone to verify the details. I will tell you everything I know then.
Bueno, se pone interesante la historieta, ¿eh? Vamos a ver lo que la última parte de la historia, que está muy interesante. Hasta el día siguiente, de las 12 y las 14. Ahí, pone el día siguiente. El buen relojero, ¿eh? Madre mía.
Ah, you're here. It appears everyone has arrived. Last night, I visited a former servant who once worked for my family. In my great-grandfather's generation, the Ishin art was tasked with forging an important Goshinto according to an ancient forging diagram. Though all the craftsmen involved were very experienced, the process was still unsuccessful. When the deadline came, the blade still wasn't finished. So the craftsmen all fled. The Kaedahara clan and Yashiro Commission then conducted an investigation. However, they met fierce resistance from the craftsmen, and in the Kaedahara clan was severely punished for the swordsmiths that had escaped, and the family gradually fell into decline. Moreover, I heard that the head of the Kamisato clan was injured by the fleeing swordsmiths, which combined with his advanced age caused him to pass away shortly.
Yes. The sudden passing of the family head left the Kamisato clan leaderless. Treacherous people took advantage of the situation and put the family's status in the Yashiro Commission at jeopardy. This single incident had profound effects. Even after the position as head of the clan was passed to my father, the Kamisato clan still wasn't able to regain its prior reputation. But, thanks to my brother, everything is getting better now.
The failure to forge the blade was ultimately attributed to a lack of required skill and finesse. The Kaedahara clan and the Yashiro Commission always believed that was the... However, the story of the 5 Kasen seems to imply that the failure didn't stem from a lack of... Miss Kamisato, I heard yesterday that the Yashiro Commission has still kept the diagram ever since the failed forging all those years ago.
Vamos a forjar la espada legendaria de los Kaedahara.
Might I ask you to do me...
Yes, I understand. I will go back and search for the diagram.
Qué ojito más tierno tiene la Ayaka, ¿eh? Dirígete a la hacienda Kamisato. Va, chavalotes, dame una cerveza, que soy el líder del clan. Ahora con Ayaka. ¿Qué es el cuarto oscuro Ayaka? Jodas.
Everyone, I've managed to find the old diagram.
Though the diagram is well preserved, you can still tell that...
Whoa, that's pretty old.
At this point, we can only try our luck and see how...
Plano para la forja antigua.
Although the effect is not too obvious, you can still see that some words have not. Kazuha, this is clear evidence that this chart was indeed tampered with. Someone framed the cop.
I see. But I fear that I've discovered this secret too late. When my grandfather was young, he proposed reviving the Ishin art many times to my great-grandfather. But yesterday, the former family servant said that my great-grandfather even went to the Yashiro Commission to request that diagram from the head of the Kamisato clan. He then, sure enough, my grandfather also failed. My great-grandfather then told him, my grandfather left Inazuma in a rage after hearing those words. He didn't ever see my great-grandfather. Looking back at it now, the argument between the two of them was simply...
Oh, Kazuha.
I heard that your great-grandfather was very industrious when he was young. But later in life, he no longer bothered with the forging arts. It appears...
Kazuha, did your great-grandfather really say, if you can't find the secret within? Did he use those exact words?
Yes. The servant said that he personally heard those words. My grandfather was so angry at the time that he smashed my great-grandfather's cherished bonsai tree.
Yes, it appears that you understand my meaning. Kazuha, if your great-grandfather thought that the Ishin art lacked finesse, then after witnessing his son's failure, wouldn't he have said something? But instead he said, if you can't find the secret within. Don't you
Vamos,
find that
que
a
el
little
que
strange?
jodió la madeja fue el padre.
Huh? Oh. So you're saying my great-grandfather may have very well known that the failure was due to someone's...
Yes. The current evidence suggests that is highly...
I apologize, but would you all please accompany me to the Tenryou after I became a wanted criminal? The Tenryou Commission seized my family's last remaining estate, which contained all of my family's old belongings. I want to inquire about the whereabouts of those belongings. If I can...
All right, let's get moving.
Está guapa, la historieta. Mandan aquí abajo. Claro, es la zona donde está la Shogun. Pues ahí tiene que estar los que la defienden. La comisión de la Kuyusara. O la guarda real de la Shogun. Y aquí está. La carapana está.
What are you all doing here? Did something happen on Rito?
Kujo Sara. Perhaps you...
Yes, I do. You're Kaedehara Kazuha, a wanted criminal during the Vision Hunt decree.
Sara, we'd like to ask about the Kaedehara clan's property that was seized by the Tenryou Commission.
Yes, the items seized at that time are currently stored in the warehouse next to the police station.
No, I'm afraid you misunderstand. I'm not here to reclaim those belongings. I just want to investigate them for a
I see. All right, I'll inform the police station. They'll take you in.
Thank you, Sara!
Kaedehara, about the Vision Hunt decree.
That's all in the past now, Kujo Sara. There's no need to mention it again. I know you've also had your own convictions and struggle. However, may I ask something of you?
Yes? What is it?
Currently, I have no plans to stay in Inazuma. As a result, those items from my family's estate are of no use to me, Madam Kujo. I believe you are a person of integrity. After our investigation is over, I'd like to ask if you can handle those belongings for me.
All right. I understand. I'll be sure to take care of it.
Bueno, pues nada, vamos a almacenar la comisaría. A ver si nos dan algo. Por aquí, ¿no? Se lo hemos liado. Creo que le hemos liado y nos hemos confundido de camino. Sí, nos confunde de caminete. A ver, muchacho. A Sakawa.
Ah, you must be here to investigate the Kaedehara clan's belongings. Well, Madame Kujo's already informed me of this. The Kaedehara clan's belongings are stored in this warehouse. Unfortunately, the items are scattered throughout in order to save space. However, I have clearly marked the corresponding items, so they shouldn't be too difficult to find. I'll be waiting for you at the door. Please, come see me if you require any assistance.
Kazuha, since the items are scattered throughout the building,
Yes, sounds like a plan.
Qué buena gente es Kazuquita.
Oh, it's you. I'm currently investigating the sword rack.
Oh, since the Kaedehara clan was a family of renowned swordsmiths, then this blade should be super valuable, right?
I'm afraid not. Although the sword rack is made of fine wood, the swords placed here appear to be quite ordinary. Due to the dire financial situation of the late, the blade on the sword hasn't been sharpened, but there are many signs of use on the hilt.
Let Paimon see! Oh, there seems to be a couple uneven characters etched into the scabbard. Paimon can imagine what Kazuha was like.
I will continue investigating here and call you if I find...
Ya toca, Alfredito.
Oh, it's you.
Whoa, this folding screen looks pretty...
Yes. Perhaps if it were better maintained, then it could fetch a decent price. However, I was taking a closer look just now and noticed a large piece of dirt. The soil is deeply embedded into the cloth. That means a great deal of force was used when the dirt was lodged into the cloth. It's likely that this patch of dirt is from the very... Because this is not what we're looking for. Let me think. If I wanted to leave a message behind...
Albedo seems to be thinking pretty hard.
Hay que dejar pensar cabeza pensante. Cuando Alfredito piensa, le sale humo de la chepa.
What did you find, Shincho?
¿Qué has oído, Chinchu?
I found quite the pile of old books.
Este va directo a los libros. Vaya bebedor.
These books here are all related to smelting steel, and these are about the process of forging blades. This pile...
The books about plants and flowers must have been...
I skimmed through them just now, but I didn't find anything particularly worth noting.
Bueno, nos queda aquí el bardo de pacotilla. Este... Aquí está, con las botellas de vino. Fíjate, el borracho. Venti, el borracho.
There must be some around here somewhere. Do you see all these pots here? Some of them are bound to have liquor inside.
Hey! Everyone else is trying hard to help.
I merely jest, of course. Come on.
Well, Paimon doesn't really get why Kazuha told Sara to... What if we don't end up finding anything today? Then wouldn't Kazuha lose the chance of finding?
I know you are worried about Kazuha, but if you since Kazuha made such a request to Sara, that indicates he's already made his choice. Whether we... No, not intuition. Rather, I've lived for a long time now. So you could say leave the things here to me. You two can look around else.
Estamos atorado que tú ya te ves todas las botellas.
I found something that you should all have a look at.
Mira el bonsai.
Oh.
This flower pot was in my house for a long time. I heard that it was left behind by my great...
Yeah, the plants seem to have been dead for a while now.
Well, after my great-grandfather stopped studying the forging arts, he picked up the hobby of keeping bonsai plants. Most of his prized plants, but he specifically left behind this dead plant at the time, and even instructed my grandfather not to throw it away in his will. My grandfather deeply regretted that he never managed to reconcile with my great-grandfather, so he left the plant But now that I think about it, my great-grandfather could very...
Now that you mention it, this...
Yes. Let's take...
We finally found something! Do you think someone already discovered the compartment and...
No, I do not think that is the case here. See the paper? It's quite yellowed, which means it's very...
You mean to say that these sheets have been written...
Yes, I agree with this hypothesis.
Okay, let's give it a dunk then.
There is a pond outside the police station.
Well, how did it go? Those weren't...
Just as everyone guessed, after I sprinkled some water onto the paper, writing did indeed begin to appear on it.
Oh? What does the letter say?
It is. I'll tell you what my great-grandfather knew at the time. Everyone, please follow.
Sigue Kazuka hasta la costa. Bueno, Kazuquita, se nos viene arriba.
Kaedehara, why did you lead us to this beach?
Esto no está relacionado con el contenido de la carta.
It is. In fact, my great-grandfather and the head of the Kamisato clan tracked our hypothesis was correct. My great-grandfather was well aware of the truth behind the defective blades. And it reads, to whoever reads this letter, I, Kaedehara Yoshinori, have been held to a certain secret through all those years ago, when I was pursuing the swordsmiths alongside Commissioner Kamisato of the Yashiro Commission. I was not injured by one of the fleeing smiths. Rather,
it was night, and after the clues led us down to shore, I waited for the culprits to show themselves. However, this stranger claimed to be the one behind the failed forgings, and said that he had been patiently waiting for us. He then threatened to destroy the Raiden Gokaden. That person was of
Ese es el
evil blood,
escaramuch.
and in a blink of an eye,
Ese es el
myself
escaramuch.
and the accompanying samurai had been defeated. Commissioner Kamisato was severely wounded, and I barely escaped death myself. My hat had fortunately blunted a blow to my head. The unusual stranger could have easily claimed my life at that moment. But, after noticing my appearance, he stopped his attacks and sternly asked if I answered that it was my father's surname. And after my father disappeared, I was adopted by the Kaedehara family. Upon hearing my answer, the stranger paused. After a long silence, he suddenly said, "Tell her this. My name is Kuni Kuzushi." He then turned and left.
Yes. My great-grandfather and the head of the Kamisato clan escaped from death and learned that the forging diagram had been tampered with by Kunikuzu. However, due to the encounter, the head of the Kamisato clan was worried that my great-grandfather would be falsely accused of being involved with the perpetrator. So because the perpetrator said he would destroy the Raiden Gokaden, he said, "As the leader of the Kaedehara clan, I am deeply ashamed to witness the decline of the Ishin art. But as a father, it is my priority to ensure the safety." Yes, that's right. If my grandpa had somehow unfortunately, he failed to catch any of the hints in my Miss Kamisato, it appears you were unaware of the happenings that my
I suppose the reason the head of the Kamisato house never spoke of if the perpetrator was capable of tampering with even the Shogun's diagrams, and could single-handedly defeat many men, then he is not an ordinary. I will discuss this matter with Brother shortly, and investigate the identity behind the one called...
To be honest, as I read the letter, I felt much turbulence. My great-grandfather said in the letter that he did not wish his descent, though he was in a tight situation when he wrote these words. I think what's most important for each person is not the past, but the present. Even though we must carry... Therefore, knowing the truth behind what happened is enough for me. I will live on. That being said, if the enemy from all those years ago is still lurking and plotting to stir up more trouble, then I definitely won't turn a blind eye. These are simply insights I've gathered. Thank you all for accompanying me in my search for the truth behind that incident.
Great! Now that we're done here, let's head back to Rito.
Bueno, nos hemos enterado de bastantes cositas en la historia, ¿eh? Niño con el día de la
Today is
feria.
the final stage of the Irodori Festival. Not only will there be Shincho...
El retrato de Kuronushi, hecho para el ruido, ahora está cubierto por una tela. Vale.
Hello, traveler.
Albedo, why is the portrait of Kuronushi all covered up? Haima wants to see what your Kuronushi...
Don't worry. The unveiling ceremony will be starting. I will say that I'm most satisfied with this particular work. I even made a special trip to see someone in order to complete it. Is that so? Anyway.
Busca a tus amigos en el lugar del festival. Vamos a ir a por este que está más lejos. No sé por qué, pero sabía que este de la costa sería el Kazuha.
Kazuha, what are you doing here?
I came here to take in the sea breeze. Such a bustling atmosphere. I thank you. But please, don't worry. Look. See this familiar harbor in front of us? But now, not only are foreigners coming to Inazuma again.
Yeah, Inazuma has already started to change, huh?
I was thinking, in some ways, it might take a different amount of time for different people. But there will and when they finally let go.
Camiseta ya camina. ¿Qué tenemos a los hermanitos? Uno tiene la pequita ahí en el ojo y el otro en la barbilla.
Ah, greetings, traveler. Paimon.
Oh,
Yes, there were many things which required my attention these past few days. Fortunately, the Irodori Festival is proceeding smoothly. The Tri-Commission cooperated closely to prepare this festival, so at long last, I can take a break today.
Brother and I are very grateful for your help.
Toma sure is taking his sweet time.
Yes. Today is one of the rare occasions when Brother isn't busy. I was going to buy some books, but he said he wanted to come along.
El Toma es el sirviente, tío.
However,
Es el puto
he forgot his
sirviente.
wallet at home, so he asked Toma to go back and fetch it for him.
Paimon didn't think Ayato could ever be forgetful like that.
Brother always works diligently, and it's rare for him to ever put his duties to the side and relax. So, Toma and I really cherish such moments when he's forgetful.
I just absolutely love this fan novel. Festivals always attract so many people.
Parece que la Yamiko. Ya se está poniendo a Perry.
Well, hello everyone.
Hey! What are you two doing together? Don't think we didn't see you two chatting up a storm just now.
Is that so? I'm afraid you're just overthinking things.
We were merely discussing wine and food. I'm sure.
Speaking of good sides with sake, I personally prefer fried tofu.
Forget it. Even if those two are plotting...
Vaya... Me esperaba más de esa conversación, no sé. Me han dado muy poca vidilla. Aquí tenemos a la estrella.
Traveler, Paimon, it's a pleasure to see you. Indeed it did. Thanks to you, the signing event went off without a hitch. And
Shikcho, is that just Paimon, or are you on the...
You aren't mistaken. Though I'm ashamed to admit it. After all, I came to Inazuma under the pretext of evaluating a potential investment. If an acquaintance were to see me sitting here, then, fortunately, the crowds of readers that came flocking over have kept the usual tourists at bay. Oh, I should mention, Shu is also unaware of the real purpose of my trip. If you happen to meet then, please accept my thanks in advance. I'm sorry that I can't chat long. I'll see you later at the unveiling ceremony for Kuronushi's.
It's time for the portrait's unveiling ceremony.
Bueno.
Let's head over to the 5 Kasen Plaza.
Vamos a ver lo que se esconde detrás del telón.
Everyone, welcome to the magnificent Irodori Festival. Today, we have ushered in the final stage of our festival. And now we will reveal the final portrait of the 5 Kasen, Kuronushi, which was done by none other than our guest artist from Mondstadt, Calx.
Paimon has no idea what Albedo's portrait looks like.
Let's all count down together. 3, 2, 1. Huh? What's this? This piece depicts nothing but a background. I suppose Calx must have forgotten to include the... let's hear some words from Calx himself regarding the...
Hello, everyone. First, I would like to say that it was an honor to be invited to create the portrait. The 5 Kasen are legendary figures from ancient Inazuma, famous for their works of poetry. As time passed, I learned from existing sources about those stories that the character of Kuronushi is the deepest and most differing of the 5 Kasen. Moreover, Kuronushi lacks a dedicated chapter among the stories. It's as if he is a behind-the-scenes role of the 5. Perhaps we can assume that every creator had a different understanding of Kuronushi. After all, the Irodori Festival is a place...
Yep, that's Albedo for ya. His super logical explanation is sure to win everyone's approval. Well, it seems that our adventures at the Irodori Festival have come to a close. Huh? What are you talking... Oh, right! We still haven't figured out who left
Tengo
those
idea de quién
stories
pudo
of
ser.
Come on then, who is it? Tell Paimon!
A empezar es alguien que nos conoce a todos.
Well, that makes sense. Otherwise, there'd be no way to give the right paper to the right. Even though they were using stories to hint us toward Shincho's troubles, the real goal was to lead us to solve the secrets of the Kaidahara clan. Oh, Paimon gets it now. Well, let's go. We'll get to the bottom of this.
The one who left the...
Huh? Really?
But because other than me, there's only one person left.
Aparte de mí, solo queda una persona. Votaría por la Shogun, pero espero que no está. No ha bajado del trono en el festival. La Yaka no creo. ¿La Yato?
Ayato! You're the one, but don't you think you overdid it a little? Leading like...
As it just so happens, one of the...
Paimon wants to see how...
First of all, the start of this whole incident was due to mere happenstance.
Huh? So it was Miko after all! Paimon knew it! This thing had Miko...
That's right. But using the story of the 5 Kasen to guide you... As for my roundabout approach, yes. Due to a certain incident that occurred earlier. I knew there was more than meets the eye regarding those papers. But it took me some time to figure out the secret behind what Kaedehara Yoshinori said in the letter is very important for both the Kaedehara clan used to be subordinates of the Kamisato clan. It was my ancestors who were unable to protect, although he has the right to know the truth. The closer he draws to things hidden out of sight, of course, I could outright tell him the truth that I had discovered. But maybe he doesn't have the will that's required. In that case, if he lacks the ability, then he wouldn't be able to find the Kaedehara Yoshinori left his message in a roundabout way precisely for a long time. I yearned for a suitable opportunity to...
Oh, Paimon gets it now.
¿Por qué involucraste a todos los demás?
It wasn't only Kazuha.
I figured you would ask this. I merely saw that this matter would be of value. And more importantly, I hoped that while reliable friends who would be willing to protect them and make measured decisions, because it is also very likely that you will face... You already know the answer deep down inside. The answer is actually hidden in the portrait of Kuronushi. When there is no one else near the portrait, you can confirm with your own eyes. As for the means of revealing that answer, well...
Espera que anochezca.
Pretty late, so nobody else is around, so Ayato must have been telling us to splash water on the portrait, right? It's the Balladeer!
Lo sabía. Es el escaramuz, cabrón.
He was the one behind the trouble all those years ago!
When there is no one else near the portrait, you can confirm with your own eyes. As for the means of revealing that answer, well, you have used it many. Also, there's one last thing that we must discuss. I mentioned earlier that the occurrence of a certain incident made me notice it was just after the Shogun announced the abolition of the Sakoku decree. I heard that they had discovered signs that someone had entered the warehouse storing the Commission's articles of evidence. I felt something unusual about that incident. So I told Kujo-Sara of the Tenryou Commission to treat it as if... In the meantime, I sent a member of the Shumatsuban to keep watch over the warehouse. And sure enough, someone...
You mean, he was also looking for...
I let him search for a while, but in the end, he found nothing. Soon after...
Why didn't you
best way to protect a secret is to treat it as if it doesn't exist, is it not? Besides, after he left Inazuma, I carefully checked the Kaidahara clan's belongings one by one. I am certain that the papers are the secret which the infiltrator sought to find, though he couldn't confirm whether this secret existed at all. So, now on to my final question. Which part of Kaidahara Yoshinori's experiences was the secret that needed to be protected? I don't have an answer to this question at present, so I'll leave it to your future self. As for now, please, enjoy yourselves at the Irodori Festival.